Russian and Ukrainian media have been speculating about the future relationship between the United States and Ukraine ever since Joe Biden won the election last November. We analyzed the main themes pro-Kremlin media have been disseminating, and looking at them together, it's easy to see the common denominator of Russian disinformation about Ukraine, that the country is governed remotely by Washington. So let's get to it. The main premise that Russian analysts and experts put forth when commenting on future relations between Ukraine and the new U.S. administration is that Ukraine is a dependent country and is simply waiting for the American government to start solving its problems and giving out directions. Biden will be busy dealing with world problems. He's got no time for Ukraine, the Newsfront site declared, describing Biden as a boss who will punish everyone should something unexpected happen. Another Russian talking head proclaims that Biden will not deal with Ukraine at all, but will instead name an ambassador who will be responsible for Ukraine. The idea that there are American curators working in Ukraine is a staple of Russian-made conspiracy theories. For example, Vladimir Kornilov, a pro-Kremlin analyst formerly from Donetsk, said, quote, "Ukraine is being directly controlled by the U.S. through its ambassadors. The Canadian ambassador has said that Ukraine has even asked for this. The most influential people in Ukraine were named, and they are the G7 ambassadors." As an example of this outsized influence that the U.S. wields over Ukraine, Kornilov brings up the Russian COVID vaccine, saying, quote, "In the autumn of 2020, Ukrainians were considering purchasing the Russian Sputnik vaccine. The U.S. Embassy didn't like this, and the following day, Ukraine said it would not buy the vaccine from the Russian Federation." A favorite Russian propaganda technique is to put out contradicting narratives. Some Russian sites claim that Ukraine will be forgotten by Washington, while others assert that the United States will stop reckoning with Ukraine altogether and begin directly interfering in Ukraine's internal affairs. Rostislav Ishchenko, formerly from Kyiv and immigrated to Russia in 2014, says, quote, "The Americans no longer have any reason to play democracy, to delve into the problems of their Ukrainian lackeys, to meet them halfway on certain issues. They will only demand and severely punish those who are unable to fulfill their demands efficiently and on time." Ukraina.ru goes even further and predicts that the United States will start molding a new political elite in Ukraine, which ideologically must be completely faithful to its handlers. The current Ukrainian administration and its political future is an often recurring subtopic found in Russian media predictions made about the future of U.S.-Ukraine relations. According to the Russian media narrative, the Ukrainian government is completely dependent on the West and the United States in particular. Therefore, the United States can take steps to ensure that Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky disappears politically. Ukraina.ru pushes the contradiction in another article citing Andrei Korobkov, a political science professor from Middle Tennessee State University. Korobkov says, quote, "Washington can take steps to ensure that Zelensky disappears in a political sense and the first generation of post-Maidan politicians returns to power in Ukraine, with whom Biden was used to working during his vice presidency." Svobodnaya Pressa heats up the rhetoric and goes so far as to call Ukraine a U.S. colony. Quote, "Most likely the White House administration will come to the idea of the need to quickly replace Zelensky with a more effective top manager to run the Ukrainian colony." Some pro-Kremlin publications start the guessing game about what kind of directions the United States will issue for Ukraine regarding the war in Russian-occupied Donbass. Again, the Svobodnaya Pressa site asks whether Ukraine will go to war against Russia on Biden's instructions and addresses the risks of renewed hostilities in the self-proclaimed Donetsk and Luhansk People's Republics. Citing the Council on Foreign Relations Conflicts to Watch in 2021 report, which classifies the likelihood of increased fighting in eastern Ukraine or a major military clash between Russia and Ukraine as moderate, Svobodnaya Pressa nevertheless insists that the new U.S. administration, quote, "plans to send Ukraine off to fight against Russia." The publication also patently denies that Russia has been at war with Ukraine since 2014, calling the war a myth that has been formed in the Ukrainian public consciousness. Meanwhile, on the pages of the online newspaper Vzglyad, Russian Deputy Foreign Minister Sergei Ryabkov accuses the United States of arming Ukraine and claims this will continue with the Biden presidency. Quote, "Such a proliferation of weapons, ammunition, and equipment into a country that cannot resolve its internal problems, a country that deviates more and more from implementation of the Minsk peace accords, is by and large a deeply anti-Russian game on the part of the United States," Ryabkov said. According to him, for Russia, it is obvious obvious that the United States will not abandon this line, regardless of who will be in the White House. Russian Member of Parliament Alexei Pushkov, the chairman of the Federation Council's Information Policy and Media Relations Committee, went even further and declared that the Biden administration intends to use Ukraine against Russia. The Biden administration is preparing an American military base on Ukrainian territory, he said. Now, Russian disinformation and conspiracy theories have several effects, one of which causes people to interpret facts as political constructs instead of as objective evidence. Sometimes the facts are even made up, and then people fall back on belief systems to evaluate and try to understand the world around them. So next time the International Commentariat is offering their opinion about the state of affairs between Ukraine and the United States, just remember what they say about opinions. That's it for this week. Be vigilant, stay safe, and be on the lookout for fakes. Getting vaccinated, wearing a mask, washing your hands, and social distancing will protect you from the coronavirus, but critical thinking will protect you from Russian disinformation. And if you spot any disinformation about Ukraine, forward it to us for a truth autopsy. I'm Marko Suprun, and this is StopFake. Thanks for watching.